What if your choices could shape the very fate of a fallen land? Today we're venturing into the strategic world of Riviera, the promised land on the Game Boy Advance. A game that takes traditional RPG mechanics and throws in a twist of strategic choices, all wrapped in a beautiful hand-drawn world. It's got turn-based battles, high stakes, and a story where your decisions really matter. So let's see what makes Riviera one of the GBA's most unique adventures. It was developed by Sting Entertainment and originally released in Japan for the WonderSwan Color in 2002. Its unique blend of visual novel storytelling, strategic gameplay, and turn-based combat quickly caught the attention of RPG fans. In 2004, the game was ported to the Game Boy Advance and later saw a North American release in 2005 courtesy of Atlas. As part of the Department Heaven series, which includes other quirky RPGs like Yggdra Union and Knights in the Nightmare, Riviera carved its own niche within the RPG landscape. It even got an enhanced re-release on the PlayStation Portable in 2006 in Japan and 2007 internationally, with upgraded visuals, voice acting, and additional content. But today we'll be focusing on the Game Boy Advance version, which is still beloved for its charm and uniqueness. Where Riviera really shines is in how it handles exploration and combat. Unlike most RPGs where you freely walk around towns and dungeons, Riviera uses a point-and-click system for navigation. You select areas to investigate and interact with objects, but each action is limited by a set number of turns, adding an extra layer of strategy to your decisions. Combat in Riviera is turn-based, but with a unique twist. Instead of equipping characters with tons of weapons and armor, the game limits the number of items you can bring into battle, making every item precious. Each item has limited uses, so you'll constantly be balancing between when to go all out and when to save your best equipment for tougher fights. This limited resource system makes combat more strategic than most RPGs, and it forces you to think ahead, especially in the game's later chapters. The battle system also has an emphasis on overskills, which are special moves that can be unleashed once a character's gauge is filled during battle. These flashy high-damage attacks add a layer of excitement to the otherwise strategic and slow-paced combat system. At the heart of Riviera is its story, which draws heavily on mythological themes and is packed with character-driven moments. You play as Ein, a grim angel sent to the fallen land of Riviera to trigger the destruction of the gods. Alongside Ein, you're joined by a colorful cast of characters including Fia, a soft-spoken warrior, Lena, a lively archer, and the mischievous cat girl, Serene. Throughout the game, your choices and interactions with these characters impact the story and even the game's multiple endings. What's really interesting is that Riviera has a lot of dialogue and cutscenes, almost like a visual novel. The game is filled with charming character interactions, and there are moments when you can choose how to respond or what to do in certain situations. These choices affect not only your relationships with the characters, but also the outcome of the story itself. It gives the game a more intimate feeling, like you're truly part of the adventure and not just watching it unfold. The character interactions were also a standout for me. In most RPGs, character development is there, but it often feels secondary to the combat or exploration. In Riviera, it's front and center. I found myself caring about the characters and their stories, and the multiple endings gave me a reason to replay the game just to see how different choices would change the outcome. Riviera left a lasting impression on me because of how unique it felt compared to other RPGs on the Game Boy Advance. The point-and-click exploration was a refreshing change from the usual dungeon crawling, and I loved the strategic combat system that made every item and decision count. Sure, it could be frustrating at times to be limited in how much you could explore or how many items you could use, but it definitely added a layer of strategy that I hadn't seen or experienced in other games. Compared to other RPGs on the Game Boy Advance, like Golden Sun or Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Riviera is a completely different experience. Golden Sun focuses on puzzle solving and traditional exploration, while Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is all about grid-based combat and job systems. Riviera, on the other hand, brings a more narrative-focused and strategic approach. Its mix of visual novel elements with turn-based combat makes it feel more like a hybrid RPG rather than a traditional one. Riviera, the Promised Land is one of those RPGs that you either love for its uniqueness or struggle with because of its limitations. But if you're in the mood for a game with great characters, strategic combat, and a lot of heart, Riviera is definitely worth checking out. The beautiful pixel art, charming character designs, and deep narrative make it a standout title on the Game Boy Advance. Thanks for watching. If you played Riviera, the Promised Land, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, keep those pixels alive.